started this heat wave by letting my seed wave, and in such a way that the customers say that I certainly can.
So watching My Week with Marilyn, I felt you would have been in that character very happy in the old days of Hollywood, you know, the studio system, as a studio actress. But everything in your record indicates that you would have been a lousy studio actress. I don't think you would have been happy taking assignments. And from picture to picture, you changed completely. And the whole thing about the studios was they wanted an actress always to stay in the same character. Do you think you would have made it as a studio actress?
Well, thanks for the compliment. And probably not. Mm-hmm. Probably not. Even Marilyn struggled with it because they wanted her to, you know, she built a gilded prison for herself when she made this character of Marilyn Monroe, because she honed it and developed it over years of training, attention, and study, perfected it, and then it became so powerful and people wanted it so much, but she realized that she was more than that. She wanted to break free of it, but nobody, the studio wouldn't let her.
But I never figured out who she was. She had an annoying habit, she and Arthur Miller, of visiting the apartment building that I lived in New York. So I often would find myself in an elevator with her. And she was just an enormous presence. I mean, I really felt that she practically burst out of the elevator.
Gosh, now I just want to interview you. What did she talk about in the elevator? What else do you remember?
All I could think about as being a young man was, boy, what a sexy character this one is.
Wow.
I thought she was only that way on camera.
Wow.
But did you spend a lot of time just studying her idiosyncrasies?
What I read said that she had an ability, a switch, that she could turn on and off. And I think that post diagnoses, you know, labels have been put on it, that it's a hereditary illness and it's this or it's that, and that's what facilitates that kind of duality. But, and that she could light up a room, but somebody said about her that she had the kind of face that would fall apart in between glances. Huh. And Avedon talks about taking her picture and says, oh, you know, she came to life in front of his camera like nobody that he's ever seen. Mm-hmm. She was such a performer, and when he was changing lenses, he glanced over, she was gone, and he glanced over, and she was collapsed, curled up in a corner, drained, looked unrecognizable from the person that had been in front of his lens, and he went over there and slowly raised up his camera to her, and she put up her hand, and he walked away. So what I learned was that that kind of vivacity, that kind of energy, it cost her. It wasn't entirely natural. Yeah. It was like a kind of superhero ability, but that it left her sort of drained and depleted. She even talks about it herself, that, you know, it is, yes, it's a wonderful feeling to give people this kind of pleasure and to be this kind of movie star, but one doesn't necessarily feel like that when you're tired, lonely, and depressed. Yeah. But you still feel like you have a responsibility to be that for other people.
Love, no matter what others may say or do, light of heart and fancy free, that's the way to start. There will be nothing to lose till you lose your heart.
Your persona strikes me as being that of a rather thoughtful person. So do you have a button you press to become this other person?
No, I wish I did, though. I'd like to have a button. No, it's I'm kind of a slow burn. I think I've learned. I do everything slowly. In my whole life, it takes me a long time to cook dinner. I'm not really a very fast driver. I spent 10 months preparing for Marilyn. Yeah. And
10 months.
I spent 10 months and then 2 months shooting. So it was my year with Marilyn.
Yeah.
Get in.
Any problem, Roger?
No, just dropped by to take Colin out to lunch.
You're not taking him to Maryland?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. You have a nice time, boys.
Surprise!
Jesus. Roger and I decided to take you on an adventure.
What the hell? Colin! Get back here, you little bastard! Colin!
What hit you that you just suddenly decided you're a theatrical person?
I don't know, because it doesn't run in my family. There aren't really any other artists or entertainers, although I did find out recently that my great-great-grandmother was a stowaway on a ship at 15. She left Sweden, landed at Ellis Island, and then took a covered wagon. And I left home when I was 15, and it was sort of this big aha moment, like, oh, it is somewhere in my family to burst out, to be some sort of a strange renegade or something.
Right.
But I remember seeing my first play. I remember seeing my first play when I was 8, and it was Tom Sawyer, and it was a community production. And I remember clutching the chair like this, like it was going to take off.
Right.
And I remember loving everything about it. It was in a decrepit, rundown building. The walls, the ceiling was leaking. You could see the performers sort of get off stage and then go through another door and then back up another set of stairs. And I think that's like why I like independent filmmaking. I like kind of seeing the seams of something. I like the imperfection of it.
In looking at the choice of films you made, I sort of look at this list and feel, now your career is sort of an adventure rather than a career. Did you consciously look at it that way?
You know how I never looked at it was as a career. I've never called it a career.
Yeah.
I just call it my work, the thing that I do. I've just sort of made choices as they come, as they interest me in the moment.
How dare these people keep treating us like stupid teenage girls?
We are stupid teenage girls.
No, Betsy, we're human beings. And we're American citizens. And 7 years ago, our forefathers did something, I don't know what. But I do know one thing, sticks ass is grass.
What happened to me is that I moved to New York City when I was 18.
So I'm sure you became a creature of the theater then, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I started going there. I was still working on a TV show in North Carolina. I was just sort of finding myself. I've always had a particular taste in books because I grew up in a house with a lot of books, but I didn't grow up in a house with a lot of movies or music. And when I started spending time in New York, I was still living part-time in North Carolina because I was shooting a show there, but my tastes hadn't really started to develop in film. I wasn't really exposed to a lot of things or influenced in any way. And then I moved to New York and I started seeing theater and I started going to the Film Forum. And that's when my taste started to form. And I wanted to make things like what I saw. I wanted to make what I wanted to go see.
Did you do theater, actually?
I did.
So you did a lot of theater, because reading about your background, you think of your life as coming out of television, but you don't think of yourself as a TV product.
I think that was a formative experience because I formed myself in contrast to it. It was incredible practice for me. It was an incredible safe ground in a way. I was living in North Carolina in a sleepy beach town. I worked with nice people. I worked with kind people. I learned about hitting a mark. I learned how to memorize my lines.
Right.
I learned, camera left and camera right. I learned things, and I had a lot of practice. They say you're good at something when you've put 10,000 hours into it, and I definitely put 10,000 hours into this thing that I did, but it wasn't aligned with my taste. And it made me realize what I didn't want to be involved in. But I'm very grateful. Like, I do not, that experience is a really big one for me, and I'm not in any way naysaying it, but I started doing plays. I did my first play then when I was 18, a Tracy Letts play, Killer Joe, and that's when I felt I caught my, I don't know how you describe it. I knew I was in the right place. I had that feeling. This is it. This is that thing I'm after.
Sit here, please.
What's going on, Andy?
This customer neglected to pay for a few items. I watched the whole thing. I saw her since she came in the store.
No, I'm sorry, that isn't true.
Hey, well, what are we talking about here?
Excuse me.
Sir, I wasn't done shopping yet. I walked out of the door by accident without paying for those cans because I was going to check on my dog. My dog is tied up in front of the store.
Mr. Hunt, it was obvious what was going on here.
Sir, your employee has the wrong idea.
The rules apply to everyone equally. If a person can't afford dog food, they shouldn't have a dog.
Andy,
Sir, I just made a mistake is all. I'm very sorry.
Now, you've made, obviously, some really big pictures. You've also made lots and lots of movies that didn't find an audience. And I have this feeling talking to you, that doesn't bother you at all.
Absolutely. And there's always one person.
Describe for me 2 films that you made that you really liked a lot, but that didn't find an audience.
One of them is Wendy and Lucy, and it's
Right.
about a girl and her dog. And the other is MEEK'S CUTOFF, and get this, it's a feminist Western.
That one I'm going to see.
Okay, good.
I love it.
What do you see out there?
So what guides your decision to do a picture then? Is it simply that you like the director, or there's something in that role, in that character, that sparks you?
That is the easiest part of my job, the decision-making process. I've learned happens for me in an instant. It happens the moment that I finish the script. I know in my heart of hearts whether or not I need to make that movie. And I've put that instinct to the test. I've ignored it. I've weighed decisions. I've asked for counsel, and those have always been the wrong decisions. In a way, they've been the right decision because they've taught me to trust myself, to trust that tiny, strange, inarticulate voice or something that says yes or no.
Excuse me. Can I talk to you for a second?
Why?
You think I stole that money, don't you? Yeah, you do.
No.
Look, I've stolen money before, okay? I know what it's like to get busted. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
I didn't steal it. I got a job. Okay? This is
right.
my job. All right?
got it.
I make money.
Okay, I got it.
Money I can take girls out on dates with. Just so you know.
Good to know. Okay.
What's your name?
Go away.
Go away.
Go away.
That's a weird name.
Did you ever start a picture and early on you felt, boy, this is really a risky picture? I mean, Blue Valentine, I sort of sense that if I were in that picture as an actor in the first week or so, I'd find it a little scary. You didn't, I bet.
I've come to realize that I seem to live off this stuff. I seem to feed on some kind of strange adrenaline or fear. I think it's because I like my life very calm, very quiet, very simple, not a lot of highs and lows. I'm surrounded by lovely, even people. And then my work is this kind of danger zone.
Stop, no, stop!
You gonna tell me?
No, stop, come down!
You gonna tell me?
Just come down, I'm not kidding you!
You gonna tell me what it is?
Please, come down! Come down, please stop.
You want me to go over the edge?
No, I want you to come down!
Tell me what it is.
What I realized recently is the worst that can happen to me in my work is that I'm embarrassed. That I embarrass myself or other people think I'm embarrassing. That's the worst that can happen. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not have a ball?
Right.
Okay.
You always hurt the ones you love. The one you shouldn't hurt at all.
So, and of course, that's where a director's role is so important. Now, you've worked with some
Absolutely.
very interesting directors. When you're working with someone who is a totally independent director and doesn't really think about the script so much, and then you're with Martin Scorsese, who's got a huge company and has worked on this script for years. What is that experience like by contrast?
You know what I realized, though? The first great director that I ever worked with, I was, oh gosh, maybe 20, 21, and I worked with Wim Wenders.
Oh,
and I
boy.
thought, phew, finally. Now I've met somebody who's going to have the key. Now I've met somebody who's going to hand me the code, and he's going to tell me how to do this thing called acting, and like he's going to know what I should do to give a fine performance. He doesn't know. He wants to see what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was the big, that was a really big thing that I learned, you know, and the same thing with Scorsese or with Kelly Reichardt. Like, they're depending on me. I think for a while I was looking to my directors as save me, help me, solve me. And, you know, and they're looking at me saying the same thing. How are you going to help me? What are you going to do for me?
So often when I would go on the sets of pictures, sometimes that were in trouble, I would see the director, you know, after the 10th or 15th take, go up to the actor and then some little furtive discussion. And then they'd each take their places and do another take. And so I started to systematically go and ask the actor, so what was the substance of that discussion? And usually, as you suggest, all the director has to say is, let's do it again, maybe we can do it better. It's not like some brilliant insight he's going to impart. Yeah. But I think a lot of actors don't understand that. They wait for the brilliant insight.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily I feel like, I think you're right, and I feel like I learned that lesson really early on, that like the key is inside of me, and sometimes words aren't actually the most helpful thing.
I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss a bride. And if you don't, I will.
How often does a movie-making experience surprise you? For example, in BROKEBACK, were you surprised that that thing became this iconic movie? Did you think that was taking place when you were in the middle of it?
No, I had no idea. No idea.
Can we move to town? Tired of these sensible ranches. No one for Ellen Jr. to play with. Besides, I'm scared for Jenny. I'm scared she has another one of them bad asthma spills.
You know, rent in town's too high.
There's a cheap place in Riverdale over the laundromat. And I bet I could fix it up real nice.
I bet you could fix this place up real nice if you wanted to.
When did you first see it, and what did you feel about it?
You want the truth?
Yeah.
You all give it to. At first, I saw it with Heath. We were the only two people in the theater, and we walked out hand in hand, didn't say anything for a long time, and looked at each other, and he said, "You were good," and I said, "No, you were good," and we didn't know what to make of it.
So one night I got your Creel case open, night before you went on one of your little trips. Price tag still on it after 5 years. And I tied a note to the end of the line. It said, "Hello, Ennis, bring some fish home, love, Alma." And then you come back, looking all perky, and said you caught a bunch of brownies and you ate them up. Do you remember? I looked in that case first chance I got, and there was my note still tied there. That line hadn't touched water in its life.
Doesn't mean nothing, Elmer.
Don't try and fool me no more, Ennis. I know what it means.
People sometimes ask me, what was it like the first time you saw The Godfather that was finished after living through it, all of it, for years? And you know, you see it alone, and you say to yourself, yeah, it works. Thank God it works. That's a surprise. But you don't immediately realize what it is, a picture that works for a long while.
Yeah.
And that keeps you going, doesn't it? That's an excitement.
Yes, exactly. I think that's exactly it. The reason that I keep doing this, the reason that I still do the same thing, is because it has the ability to surprise me. And I sometimes have the ability to surprise myself, and that's what keeps me interested. You got it.
Started this heat wave.
So let's get back to My Week with Marilyn, which I think is a really cool picture.
Thank you.
Working with Ken Branagh, I mean, that's a presence. Did you feel different with all the preparation? You said you spent 10 months preparing. Then all of a sudden you confront this guy. Did your ideas about the role change then?
Sometimes your life and the movie, they sync up very well in a way that works for your performance. And I was allowed then to fall into a little bit of what Marilyn might have felt. I mean, I still find myself, whenever I listen to him talk, I still want to sort of lean in and say, gee, Mr. Sir, I could just listen to your accent all day because I'm so impressed with him. I kind of can't take my eyes and ears off of him. You know, I'm a little in awe of him.
And in such a way that the customers say that I certainly can
can.
Talking to you here, you are such a different person than Marilyn. I mean, I would think that every day and every week, again, there's a transformative thing that you went through. I mean, that's just, I congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
And was your director on that picture, who is Curtis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he very supportive?
He felt for me, I think, because it was the biggest transformation I've ever asked myself to take on, and the person most unlike myself, most outside of myself, most foreign to myself. And Simon empathized with that and was a great great supporter.
I certainly can.
So I have a feeling your career, I hate to use that word, is going to continue to be an adventure. I think I'm going to see you in all kinds of different roles, and sometimes I'll see you in a picture that doesn't work at all. I hope it doesn't happen, and I'll run into you. I'll run into you, and you'll say, "Yeah, but who cares? It's really a nice experience." Is that going to happen?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that vision of the future.
Well, I don't want to be like a director, but you did great.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's fun to talk to you.
Thank you. So nice to talk to you.